All right, let's get straight into the footy. Grand final rematch last night. Panthers 14 defeat the Broncos 6. That now marks 5 straight losses for the Broncos. Panthers nicely placed in the top 2.
Yep.
Without Nathan Cleary. All of this without Nathan Cleary. They were actually injury ravaged last night again because Dane Laurie goes down. Taruva pulls out before the match. Young Jack Cole ends up out in the centres, but they get the job done. Just looking at the table, the Broncos could drop as low as 12th after this round's matches.
A couple of things. Panthers are Panthers. We'll address Panthers and get back to Panthers. I just want to start on the Broncos.
Yep.
Highly impressed by the Broncos. The Broncos are going to be back. Broncos are going to be one of the team. Broncos, for me, watching that game last night, are clearly the second best team in the competition. But unfortunately, I don't think they can win the competition, and I don't think potentially, they could find themselves to a grand final. Broncos are going to be one of those teams, and it happens a lot in the span of rugby league where it doesn't necessarily fall the way you expect when you play a full season. And one of the most underrated parts of what Penrith have been able to do over the last 3 years is manage the roster and make sure that the right players are healthy at the right time whilst still getting results. And I seen some signs last night from the Broncos, and I'm like, man, like these two obviously played in the grand final last year.
Yep.
They're clearly, for me, like I said, the second best team. But the dominoes don't always fall your way. And like I said, I don't have them winning the comp because they're not going to finish in the top 4. They're probably going to leave their run too late. And then once they start, like, just say if you're a Broncos fan or you're a Broncos player and you're waiting for Adam Reynolds to get back, by that stage, who knows what can happen? You can lose another player during that span. But I've seen some really good signs from the Broncos that I feel like they're ready to go on a run.
So the Broncos finishing schedule, and Brooksy's got this up in the studio. This is grouse. They've got the Dragons next week, into the Knights, Bulldogs, Titans, Cowboys, bye. Of those games, that's 5 games into a bye. You think they've got to win 4 of those 5, right?
Yep. And so this is what happened. Like, these are the things I look for when I'm watching games when you've maybe dropped a couple. And I've seen this similarly. Is that right? Similarly?
Similarly.
Right? How much? Is that the right? Am I saying that right?
You missed an L. Similarly.
Yeah.
6 again.
6 again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen this with South Sydney in the Magic Round game. Who did they lose to in Magic Round? Just before they went on the run, there were some actions in that game. Have you got it there, Brooksy, as he's getting it up? There were some actions in that game from South Sydney where they just fell short, and they're not far away. And it was the main players, specifically Latrell, Cody. Keon had been doing it all year, but a few of the other players started chipping in with some performances.
Yep.
And I was like, they could go on a bit of a run here. Now, I didn't anticipate the streak that they're on now, but I thought better performances were about around the corner. And a couple of things I noticed from last week before Reece Walsh's try, when you can't impact the game like you used to, or the big moments like that try, you got to find other ways to have an impact on the game. So he saves a try, albeit a high tackle on Mitch Kenny. Mitch Kenny ends up diving over for a similar try later on in the game. But he gets in, he puts his body in front, he gets him high, misses his contact, but he holds him up. And I'm like, that would have been a try if Reece Walsh didn't put his body in line. And then a couple of sets later, comes up really good contact on Jack Cole and dislodges the ball.
Yep.
Then all this possession, I was like, great signs. Then he goes on that run and makes a big play. And you could tell the energy of the Broncos switched. Now, you're looking at the results. Penrith obviously go on to win the game, but I thought there was some really good signs from the Broncos that they could have turned the corner, and it doesn't really matter about who's sort of coming up next, because the only team that I worry about if I'm looking at the schedule is Panthers, right? Like, if you're looking at the Panthers, you're going, they're the team that worries you the most, especially with all the injuries that the Storm have got at the moment. So I just seen some really good signs from the Broncos, but like I keep saying, I still don't think they can win the comp because they're not going to finish top 4.
Just on the Broncos, so they lose Jock Madden.
There you go. Brooksy's letting us know. Magic round was against the Cowboys. So Cowboys got the win in that game, and they got a little bit of confidence out of that game.
Yeah.
But Souths are really good in that game as well.
So Broncos lose Jock Madden. You saw Reece Walsh actually take on the bulk of the kicking once Madden went off the field, which was really interesting. Does this mean we'll see young Kobe Black in first grade?
I think so. He went really well on the trial. I've heard great things about him coming through. He played in the under-19s game, didn't he, for Queensland against New South Wales a couple of weeks ago? From everyone that I speak to in and around Brisbane and who's been watching the footy, because I don't watch a lot of Queensland Cup, to be honest. But he's been a player that's been earmarked at that club for a while. So let's see what he's got, right? Adam Reynolds, he looks like he could be finishing up in the next, if not this year, then maybe next year. And
what are you hearing about Reynolds and his return to the Broncos?
I haven't heard anything, to be honest.
I was originally hearing finals, and then I heard that he had a setback with the bicep that may mean entire season.
Oh, wow. That'd be huge because, like
I'm not
I said,
a journo, so I don't have the best sources, but we hear. This is when we need AP. Whispers.
This is when we need AP in here.
We need Adrian Prasenko.
What do you got for us, Brooksy?
Well, I'm your next best.
Okay.
NRL.com injury list saying Reynolds biceps round 22.
Okay, round 22.
Yeah, I think that was setback.
Okay, and that happens all the time, as you know, with injuries. Whatever it may be, you might have a set time, and then the biggest part is you start flowing back in and you start doing contact work, and you might feel really good running or doing scrimmage, and you've got because in rugby league we have bibs that we wear, and you might be wearing the pink bib, which is a no touch.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they go, all right, you're good. Looks like you're good to go. We'll get you back this week. Let's start doing some contact. And then it's not necessarily about tackling. It's about running into each other and then having that drive or being able to extend in Reynolds' position where he'll be able to extend, maybe palm, and then have strength behind it to push away and then also control defensively once he's tackling. So, I would be surprised if he even got that far. So I'm intrigued to if there is a setback. I wonder what he's done. Maybe could have been a weights room injury, if so. So, that'd be concerning for the Broncos because obviously they can't win it without Adam Reynolds, but I struggle to think they'll win it even when he does get back because it's going to be too late.
Let's have a listen to what Kevy had to say about Jock Madden's injury last night.
A good month or longer, I'd say, yeah. Hamstring.
Are you bringing Josh Rogers, Kevy?
Yeah.
What you do?
Yeah, he's got the bye this week, so that's good. He'll be right to go next Saturday against the Dragons.
So Josh Rogers.
Yeah, he played a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, Josh Rogers actually.
Haven't they got Kurt Falls up there as well?
Kurt Falls, yeah. Yeah, he played in the preseason game. So all three of those guys played in. I think they had not a scrimmage because it was an actual trial, but they played their feeder club. So they had some Broncos starters against their feeder club at the start. It's escaping me what team that was, but a couple of players actually switched jerseys at halftime. Like they had Broncos jerseys on, and then they chucked the feeder club jersey on, and one of them was Kurt Falls, and that's what I remember from that trial. So. Kevy confirmed last night, this is from Andrew, as a part of this too. I don't know if we had this too, Brooksy, but Kevy confirmed last night that Reynolds would be round 22 to 23. So,
we'll take your word for it, Andrew, but of course Kevy's going to give best case scenario there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then this one's from Lionel coming through on the text line as well. Corey Parker said Kobe Black is injured. So there takes away that option as well.
Wow, they're testing their depth, aren't they?
And that's what I mean.
Could you see a world after what we watched last night where Reece Walsh pushes up into the 6 jersey?
Well, and then plays Tristan Saylor at fullback? Yeah, I could see that.
Because Reece Walsh was doing a lot of kicking.
Yeah, I think he should do probably more kicking. I like when
he's got a strong boot.
It's such a good weapon.
He's a left footer, right?
He is.
What is it about left foot kickers that they strike it a little bit sweeter?
Mate, left foot, like left-handed. I like left-handed golfers, cricket players. It feels like they've just got a smoother stroke about them, Brooksy. And left-handed shooters. Manu Ginobili was a nice lefty.
Are you a lefty, Brooksy? Is that why you're laughing?
No, I'm fully right. Politics and sports.
I'm definitely not far left.
I was wondering why you've got blue hair, so you're not a full lefty then. On the text line, Josh says, is there a world where you go Mam 7, Walsh 6, Cobbo 1?
Ooh, I don't hate that.
I prefer that. I
Yeah.
prefer that.
Mate, Tristan Saylor was outstanding in filling in last year, but
I thought he was pretty
he's had
mistake-ridden this year.
he's had a rough year, hasn't he? I feel like last year when Tristan came in, obviously the team was going a lot better.
Yeah.
They probably had better depth, and he looked good. And people were calling for, him to move to another team and get an opportunity, and he stayed, and he was happy to be that backup and fill in when Reece Walsh was obviously playing Origin. That would have been the plan earlier in the year, but I don't hate that because I like. Tony Staggs is missing the week for personal reasons.
Yeah.
I like what I've seen from Josiah Karapani in the very little that I've seen from him. Dean Mariner is a centre that has been playing in the wing. He played his whole...
I was watching last night thinking if Dean Mariner was on the wing, there's probably 2 tries they scored.
He would have scored.
That Corey Oates couldn't. Corey Oates has got to be the slowest winger in the comp. And shoot me down if you want, Broncos fans, 0457736736. But I thought there was 2 tries went begging last night because you had a much, much slower winger.
Yeah.
Because Dean Mariner is probably one of the quickest wingers in the comp.
Easily, yeah. And Jesse Arthurs has been doing a really good job of finishing a lot of the tries. But I think Jesse had to flow to the right-hand side, didn't he? Because Corey Oates is he's preferred left. So Jesse Arthurs goes to the right when Corey Oates comes into the team. He's very versatile like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's the... You can... I mean, you'd love the perfect winger. Like Dean Mariner does a good job. And if you had the Brian To'os of the world, because, we're Winghouse, we're winger appreciation, right?
Yeah, we do appreciate wingers.
You can't have it all. And unfortunately, the OG Corey Oates has been around for a while. You love his yardage carries because he can, help you out in that aspect. But the short area quickness is probably not going to be, especially at his age. And he's had a bit of a, when you're in and out of the team too, and you feel like you got to force it a little bit, so that could be playing into it. But I don't know. I like Corey Oates as a winger. He's just, again, Father Time's undefeated.
Just that one.
You get a little bit older, you get a little bit slower.
Just that one where Liam Martin ran him down.
How good was that? The little bit of push and shove too after it. I love all that stuff, and that showed me. That this team, it's not too far away. The Broncos are getting a bit peed off. They're not happy with the results, but I've seen some signs from the Broncos. I feel like they're going to go on a bit of a run, but just not run big enough.
Could they get to the grand final though?
Yes, and this is similar to sort of the path. In my only experience of getting to the grand final, when you've got to play all 4 finals games, it makes it really hard. And that's why, historically, no teams have ever won outside of the top 8. So the teams that lose...
4.
Top 4.
Top 8 would be
top
really
8
hard.
It'd be very hard not to win after not making the top 8. But yeah, winning outside of the top 4 is really hard if you've got to play all 4 finals games.
Let's jump across quickly to the Panthers. For as good as you said the Broncos were, the Panthers do it again with a number of outs. I thought Leota and Fisher-Harris probably had their best games of the season.
Yeah.
Really stood up and dominated the Broncos pack. And again, they're doing it without Cleary. Jerome Luai has grown an extra leg this year. The Tigers fans must be watching this, licking their lips. I just think once you add Cleary back in that side, there may be a gap to the rest of the competition again.
I'm with you. I was thinking the same thing last night. Like I was high on the Broncos, obviously, because of the way they competed, but it's because of how clinical Penrith are. And for me, they're just separating themselves, and they will separate themselves even more when Nath gets back. I was looking at Fisher-Harris was outstanding last week against the Cowboys in a beaten team. I felt like he was carrying a shoulder injury at the start of the year. He remember against Parramatta, he tried to put a shot on maybe Regan Campbell-Gillard, and he hurt his shoulder at the end of the year, and then he obviously played after that, but sometimes it takes a good 4 or 5 weeks to get back to your best after an AC, if it was an AC injury or whatever it may have been.
Yep.
He's been really good the last couple of weeks. But with him moving on next year, a guy I've been highly impressed by has been Lindsay Smith.
Yeah, when he came off the bench, he had a huge impact last year.
So, the last couple of years, they've had similar moulds of players. Probably not the biggest as in height, like Fisher-Harris, Moses Leota, Spencer Leniu come to mind. They're all stocky, shorter front rowers. With Lindsay Smith, he's more of the Isaiah Yeo mould. You're going to have another ball playing, high work rate front rower replacing James Fisher-Harris, and with all these players that are moving on, Jerome Luai, who looks great and is going to do, I feel like him and Taruva are going to be great additions to the Tigers next year. They just continue to, this system, this culture, next man up mentality that Melbourne was so famous for so long. Penrith are the team that everyone is trying to emulate right now.